Okay, do another one. Like I said, these are going to be just sporadic videos I do. Um, be honest, I didn't even want to share this one, but that's not my style. I've been talking about this offense for a while now. This came from Jay had an initial idea, and he said King Jehu with his sword plus Eliud is really good, and he told that to Josh Portraits, and Josh Portraits was like, "Yeah, you know what? I think you're right." Josh made this crazy good deck. Uh, Jay and Josh talked about it a bunch and brought me in on it. And pretty much over the last months, it came to this with all types of different defenses. So I posted this one before, this offense, or a very close version of it. This one's at 52 cards because I'm doing a little gimmick in it. And then I switched over the defense to my tried and true. And I also have something in there that I really like as well. So what you're trying to do with this deck is pretty much just go straight to a Zerubbabel, but you want Nehemiah or Mary to give you that protection, and then Zerubbabel first turn, and I usually play an Amazing Faith off of that first turn. You're trying to get a lot of cards out first turn, kind of what this deck does, but you want to get to Zerubbabel with an Amazing Faith first turn, or just a Zerubbabel that's protected, and then you want to start popping out different people. I pop out Ezra first so I can go straight back into a Zerubbabel and start going from there. Because if you just have Zerubbabel as Meek, then you just keep attacking. And yeah, he's protected, and it's nice to have a 12-8 protected guy, but it's only so much you can do with that, and you lose out on your drawing. So I go straight into an Ezra, try to get things rolling as soon as I can, cycle through to Emmaus Road to pull out Eliud, and then go into a book, Z Temple Storehouse, to get out Jehu with his sword. And of course, you like Joshua as well. So these three heroes are your exchange heroes. So Nehemiah can exchange to a Postexilic. So usually go to him last, but Jehu goes to non-royal. And then with his sword, you may exchange Jehu with a non-royal human in territory, which is usually like Joshua, to discard an evil royal human. And if they don't have an evil royal human out, who cares, because he has a sword on him. Once per battle, if Jehu uses an OT enhancement, opponent must discard an evil card from hand or territory. So he'll come in, this will activate, discards an evil human. So you hit one of their evil humans that they have in territory, and they may discard a card of matching brigade from territory or reserve instead. So they go to one or the other. You kind of wipe everything out that they have down. And then because he has a sword on him, he uses an Old Testament enhancement. They have to discard an evil card from hand or territory. So just for doing that, no value on my own. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to discard anything to do that, or nothing. Just for this, you have to discard a lot. Joshua comes in and does what Joshua does, which is everything. And then he exchanges to a red hero, not a weapon class or anything, just red, or warrior class, sorry. And then I go to Nehemiah, which just protect me cards from evil cards. It's just in case I don't have Mary out, and wherever I put her, just in case I don't have a Mary out to give protection. So it's two different heroes that can do that. So we'll have Nehemiah can exchange his hero with a post-exilic hero in territory. Make sure you know that needs to be in territory. So you have to have Zerubbabel down. And then Zerubbabel comes out, converts, draws 2, and then you can band or play. And you want to get to Ezra. Ezra, second turn, will bounce Zerubbabel. And then you want Zerubbabel to go fetch Eliud, and you kind of want this going by turn 2. Even if you don't have this or this, because Emmaus Road can get out her, you want some sort of protection. And then you want something going here to exchange, because even Jehu can exchange to Zerubbabel because it's a non-royal human. So that's the gist of it, is this attack right here, just over and over, because then Zerubbabel turns to Meek, and Eliad says if a Meek post-exilic hero is in play, opponent must discard an evil card from hand or territory. You already wiped out their territory through Jehu, Sword, and Joshua, so they pretty much have to hit an evil card in their hand, and it just rinse and repeat. The enhancements get you there. Amazing Faith is just really good to have first turn. Same with Teaching in Parables. You go to Teaching in Parables first turn, underdeck something that they have, or reserve something that they have. Also, Teaching in Parables and Delivered. It's really good star abilities. So then if you look, I also have Akeem, Melchizedek, and Jonah. So I can pop out these heroes and have a lot of territory class hate going on. I went with Jonah just because I needed another Delivered Emmaus Road target. Not that I needed another Emmaus Road target, but worst case is I get Jonah first turn. Then hopefully I have some sort of card here, one of these three. But I really like having him just as another hero you have to get around, essentially. As for the defense, so I was just looking at different defenses to play. I don't like just sticking with one for a while. When I'm building that many decks, though, it's easy to just have a defense saved and I just copy paste into the main deck. So I have like Roman Demons saved that I've been playing for a while. It's like, oh, time to find other ones. So I was messing around with what I like. This does not have the cross, but it can, but it works with or without it. So if my opponent has it out, I kind of don't. Let's see. I don't really know, because what I want, do I want the cross active for my opponent or not? It's situational. That's why Joshua's in there, to get rid of anything. But if I have Amazing Faith, which usually that's first turn, but if I have a Bringing Fear, then it's like, that gets tossed. But mostly it's like, I don't have anything else that gets tossed. The issue is I don't like CBN enhancements against me, because you'll notice negate and negate here. So I kind of like to rather negate things than just have a CBN, AOC dropped on me. But what the defense tries to do, it's pretty efficient at doing it as well, is Philistine Commanders is the best. And you go to Armor Bearer. Armor Bearer puts whatever, anything here. And this is really good to get rid of their territory class heroes as well. A good card in territory, you can get rid of their woes as well. So there's a lot of good stuff there. Oh, I'm sorry, this gets tossed if Coliseum or the cross is out. But so you can Armor Bearer, Commanders to Armor Bearer. You can put anything you want on Commanders. And then Commander still gets, and then Armor Bearer gets to swap. So if you want, you can then use the Spear. I don't use the Spear right away. I either go into a Saf for Prevent, but I do that later. But I mostly just go into a Goliath. So what it is withdraw all heroes except one. And then I ban to an Armor Bearer. Armor Bearer equips the Spear on them to where if I know you're not really playing, like let's say you have a Jeremiah band, then I just kill your Jeremiah, assuming you don't have an interrupt or negate for Jeremiah, then I can just go ahead and activate that. But if you come at me with a big band, I withdraw all, put this on there, and then I go out with Goliath. So I just withdrew you, and then I withdrew your last one. So it's really tough to get around. And then it's like, what if you lose Goliath or something? I mean, Armor Bearer can always get him back. But then the other play I really like is I withdraw all except one, and then he's protected from lone heroes. And I could always just discard. I like to withdraw, and then I like to kill you in territory. So I really like using both spears to withdraw, then kill in territory. So I have Garrison and Goliath to finish the band. I also have Saf to finish the band. So if I have Spear on them, I can discard. They would get special initiative as well. but if I make them have special initiative, they have to respond to that card. If they respond to that card and they can't respond to commanders, then I can then bring in Saf. So let's say they didn't negate this, I still get my band. So I bring in Saf, and now I prevent the next thing they play. So it's just really good ban that the opponent constantly has to deal with. And I just play Endless Treasures and Offering Your Son, so I can constantly get back my weapons easily, because I have Book of the Covenant to activate on Z Temple with New Covenant, which just gives me a star, which gives me Emmaus Road, which gives me Offering Your Son to Endless Treasures, and I can just keep getting a weapon. And then there's another little trick I do. I don't really mind sharing this. I think this defense is really good. People always talk about Philistines not having enough. I don't think they personally were looking at them all the way, or maybe saw how good this is. Because even if Chronicles, you just get it right back and play it next turn. But what I also really like to do, and I'll see if other people playing this deck watch my video, because I have Eternal Covenant, because this is very reliant on Zerubbabel and Eliad, but I also figured, well, that gives me Book of the Covenant, grab Eternal Covenant, and if I need to grab from deck, I can, because I have a High Priest. So let's say I get New Covenant, and I'm getting all over the place. I have New Covenant somewhere. So let's say I get New Covenant and Eternal Covenant going. I can recur heroes as needed. That's important because I don't always have to bounce Zerubbabel with Ezra. I can bounce, and I kind of want Oath of Purity in here. I like having this in my reserve on turn 2 for an extra draw 3 boost, but this might come out for Oath of Purity just as another bounce, because I like to bounce Jehu with his sword after I use him. So I come out with Zerubbabel, Ezra, Eliad. After I use Jehu's sword, he goes to my hand, and at the end of my turn, I put him in territory. And then if you attack me, I can then reuse his ability. So now I would have to discard an evil human, but let's say I lost the battle and you had an evil human down, then I can just use Jehu again. Or let's say for some reason you put an evil human down, which I don't think you would after I hit you with this once. But regardless, if I have a character out that I can get rid of, like Garrison constantly reserves himself, and I pull him back with Armor Bearer, or I have Feichel or Abimelech, which are really good early blocks. And they're also really good in a band that goes to Garrison or Saf. But let's say I don't need them all, I can discard my own evil human. But what I'm trying to do is use Jehu again, and you have to discard an evil card from your hand or territory, which after I just attack, you're not going to have anything in your territory. So you have to discard an evil card from your hand. So I get to cycle Jehu as needed. So it's not bad at all. I just need and then I bounce a human. So, and this bounce a human. So I have 2 bounce a humans to where I can get back Jehu as I want. It's just a lot of targets that the opponent has to deal with. So I'm constantly cycling weapons. I'm cycling my Offering Your Son with Emmaus Road, New Covenant. I'm bringing back my heroes if you kill them. You have to deal with Golden Calf. I can put Book of the Law or Book of the Covenant in Z Temple. And I have Babel out as well. So just does a lot. And then you have Melchizedek and Jonah and Akeem to deal with while I hit your territory. It's just high value cards. I don't really have to do anything, and you have to do everything. So I have Mary out for territory class protection, just a lot of targets. So it's 52. I want to get it down, but I can't as of now. So I draw 8. And let's see what we got. Remember, always look at your hand before you even just put down your lost souls, and then just always reevaluate your hand. You have to play all your stars at once. So see what you don't want to show them stuff if you're not going to use it. Just know that the new reserve rule, you can't use a lot of stars now. That's fine. And this one's really good for all these golden crosses, as I call them. That's another reason I liked this in here. It's like, oh, that's pretty good to just bounce an artifact. It's also good to bounce a covenant if you need to use the other side. Top deck an OT card from reserve. So I already knew, once again, I strive on, or I don't strive on, I emphasize knowing your deck. So I knew prior to, okay, I know what my stars are. They don't do anything except for this one. So reserve the top card of a deck. Woohoo. These come out, Wander, Negator, good to go. I like to simulate going first because it gives me less resources to work with, but that's also not the best because sometimes you have to respond to what your opponent did. But I would probably just put this down and think about what you do prior to placing things. And then I would go to this new cove to get out Emmaus Road. This is a really good offensive hand. I go to Emmaus Road so I can go to Zerubbabel. And then you could even see, it's like, you could argue that you already have Eliad. You can just go right to a Amazing Faith for a good, strong first attack. It's like, that's very good. Especially with, once again, a lot of these crosses coming around. You can go to Amazing Faith first turn, especially all this craziness. You can go to Amazing Faith first turn, get out Crowd's Choice, and now you have anything in your deck that you want. So it's not bad at all. I actually tested out in one version with my Amazing Faith where I went to a Crowd's Choice straight into a Mayhem because I could put every single card down. I would play this first, put every single card down, and go into a Mayhem afterwards. Like, you don't have to put everything down before you attack, but you get the gist. So yeah, I get out a Gospel card. Cool. Essentially gets out any star hero in your deck. Got it. Let's say they have Lost Souls out. If they don't have Lost Souls out, you probably still want to bring him out just in case people can go into some sort of site, or they play a Lost Soul, or they can activate an artifact somehow. You would rather just play him. And then I would look at your hand on a first turn, see what the attack would be. And then since I already have Eliad, based on what you saw in Teaching in Parables, what's the right play here? Do you go Zerubbabel because you're not protected, you're just a 12/8 with nothing to play? And do you play Ezra because then you can't band? Or do you go to Eliad and make him discard? If you go to Eliad, then it's going to be tough to bounce and start him over. Because I got a Teaching in Parables, chances are I'd probably, did I shuffle just in case I didn't? I'd convert him regardless. I'd draw 2 and see what I got. And now I have a way to bounce next turn. So I no longer have to go to an Ezra. I would have gone to an Eliad as well. And I just got rid of 2 of your evil cards first turn. So he's hanging out there. He's hanging out there. It's down here. No need to put any evil down. You can play this as a fortress. That's not a bad play. Almost justify that I would do that. While no evil characters in battle, you can just bring this in. It's actually a very strong first block, so I would play that as a fortress. They attack. And then Genesis, I think that's my only one. Either way, you may play a Genesis from deck. I would just double check. And yeah, they're first Samuel. So he's the only one. I thought so. And then he gets to ban to a Philistine, and you could negate a good card, yada, yada. So me personally, I don't even think I would do this first turn if I got attacked. I'd probably just throw him out there if my numbers were big enough. And if they were, make them play something and then bring him in. or you just, depending on what they attack, then you just, yeah. So I'm glad I talked that through. So putting that down would have been the wrong one because I don't have anything to support them. So keep that in your hand as a first turn block for lone heroes. And if they ban, you just give it up. For the sake of it, I'll say they have it because I don't necessarily care to block right there. And that's why I say know what you're doing prior to, like think of it through, because he reserves, the fortress reserves this card. So if he's a fortress, he reserves, all you're doing is either adding one of these to the battle, which is pointless. So if you play him as a fortress, he doesn't add himself. So yeah, playing him there wasn't, as a fortress, wasn't going to be the right thing. Top deck a star card from reserve. Could take that, could take that. Do I have a way to get to it? Yes. So we already have some heroes out. Yeah, I'd rather top deck that. You really want to protect your heroes pretty early. So let's see, make sure there's nothing in upkeep. Always do that prior to, before you even just play anything. Just don't just do something immediately. That's all I see is people skipping upkeep. Hint, hint, I think that'll be fixed. Storehouse, put that down, because as soon as you play something, upkeep's done. Storehouse down, Babel's down as a fortress. So now I go into artifact phase, well, artifact phase, go into prep, and you got to know what you have. Do I want to bounce him? Oh, see, that's a misplay, because this should have been active, and then I should have activated this on here, because then I would have gotten a draw one. So that right there, like a draw one doesn't look huge, but anytime you can gain some sort of advantage, definitely helps. So now you got to see, do I want to bounce my Zerubbabel and have Book of the Law going, or do I want to activate this, get out my Covenant, activate my Covenant, and I get New Covenant and Covenant with Abraham and Jehu, plus a star ability from deck, because I'm just going to go back to Emmaus Road. And I think I can just attack with Eliad and know what I'm going to do. So that's tough. Yep. I want to get, the whole point of this is to get Jehu going. Book of the Covenant out. So take a Covenant from reserve, because I don't have a High Priest out. Take a Covenant from reserve, and I can activate 2 Covenants there. Take a hero, take out Jehu, activate New Cov. New Cov is going to go to deck and get out a star card. And I'll get out, it's not a star card, I'm sorry, Emmaus Road, but I can just go straight to Amazing Faith if that's what I'm going to go to. If I go to Emmaus Road, I can get out Ark or Jonah or Mary, David's Descendant, and get Z Temple going. Solomon's Dream, get anything or Delivered, go into that as well. That's why I like this deck. There's so many options you can do. But I think I go to Amazing Faith here. Put down another character they have to deal with. And since he's Postexilic, if they have anything, you can go out with Joshua to exchange to Eliad. And then they have to discard, and it's CBP, so that's really nice. So they would have to deal with a 10-11, discard an evil card from their hands, and you have a negate evil cards. That's a 7-0, that's CBN. And play a Lost Soul from a deck is really good as well. You don't have to play theirs. I also love getting this first turn because it's Soul Gen for turn 2 if I need it. Or if I get it first turn, it's Soul Gen first turn. So it's really good star-wise. Sorry, I went off track there. It's really good star ability if you get it first turn or not. And just know, my point is, when you get this star ability, just know you can go to your own deck for a distressed if you need to, or you can go to theirs for soul gen. So always keeping that in mind. So yeah, from here, Elliot, Amazing Faith, and then kind of do whatever you want. If, like I said, if you go to Crowd's Choice, you have everything in the deck that you need to. If you don't think you have a strong attack moving forward, or you just want to go straight to dominance with all these crosses going out, you can. You can get Angel Lord to set up an attack next turn. And that's usually what I do, just to play that early. Or if you think you need it right there, or Chronicles, it's really, really good to have that card first turn or second turn. Like I always try to go to it early. So we still don't have much to block, so that's no good. But we could access our reserve, so that helps. I don't even think I'd bring him in. So let's say if they attack, like I'm not just gonna add a 2/2. If they negate the bands, then I just have a 2/2. So if I come in with him, I can equip a weapon from reserve, and I can equip Goliath's armor to have something, or I can just go straight to a discard. I'd rather not give special initiative and be protected while banding to a protect, unless they had a bunch of heroes in battle. But it helps you have some sort of band. I'm protected, but it's not CVN, but they also have to deal with this. So it's only turn 2. It's pretty decent block. I like to sometimes just say, okay, well, something died. Like you lost something. And I like that one more. So look at a hand. So make sure you do your star abilities before you go into upkeep, and make sure you don't go star abilities straight into prep phase. So I look at your hand, which is really good for this deck to see when you need to attack with Elliot. So from there, and don't get excited and play Emmaus Road, Wages Ascend or anything. You get to draw 1 each upkeep. If the Covenant is here, you get to draw 1. So I'd go here, I get my draw 1 that I like, and then I'll have a storehouse upkeep. I think I'm good just to go straight to a Jehu's sword. I mean, I'm trying to explain to y'all, but there's really nothing else that, since he can pop out weapons as needed and equip them. Like, and it says equip a weapon. So if I feel like I want to get something out and I feel like I might want to band, then I might want to put him down at the end of my turn so I can block with him and then equip something on him and band him in and then discard. Probably talking a mile a minute, but all this goes back to is know your turn, like know what to do during your turn, when to finish up stuff. But yeah, from here, now you start rolling with Jeshua. Now you have Jehu's sword. I got to look at their hand. You get full exchanges here with protection. You might as well just do double search. Usually I just like going straight to a Christian Martyr. Christian Martyr is really good in this deck because you have protection from loan, and you get to withdraw all but 1, and then Goliath as well. So Christian Martyr is actually really good in this deck. That's why Mayhem's not in here. Usually you shuffle your deck, and then this goes to the bottom. But since I'm playing it with both of these for actual tournament play, I'd play this first, and then I would show my opponent this. I'll say, hey, so I'm just going to shuffle this in, because this shuffles your deck afterwards. So you want to play the order of operations correctly to where your Wages of Sin isn't at the bottom. It's actually mixed in, so you can get it again. So then you go to Emmaus Road, you get out a star card. From here, probably getting out Z Temple. From David's Descendant, I'm sorry. That's what's so nice about getting out a star card. So I get out David's Descendant through Emmaus Road. David's Descendant gets out Z Temple. Discard that. So this is where I like having Feast of Boost in reserve as well, because my hand gets down pretty low because I play so much stuff. And if I don't get that Zerubbabel draw 2, then I'm kind of stuck at a low hand, and that's not good to be at a low hand advantage. At least not until phase 2 comes out. So now it's artifact, or now it's prep phase, or it went into prep phase, but now we can mess around with our artifacts. And now I have Z Temple, so I can have both open. I look at everything. You're gonna bring a Book of the Covenant over here. Do you need a Covenant from deck or reserve? And since you can get it, you might as well get it. Just don't activate it because we don't need that. We look at our discard. There's nothing there to pull out a human hero. Same with this. We don't need that active. Take a hero or sight. It's really nice to have Majestic Heavens in the reserve. Like maybe I take out a Spear for Majestic Heavens for more soul gen, but I have a really cool play where on upkeep, I go Storehouse, upkeep, Feast of Boosts. Z Temple upkeep. Each upkeep you may reserve a feast or offering from hand. If you do, play a Lost Soul from a deck. So that's my constant soul gen. So I reserve Feast of Boost. So I just activate Storehouse upkeep first, and then I use Z Temple upkeep, and that means I have constant, kind of hard to deal with, constant soul gen. So I can go to New Covenant. Did I draw into Emmaus Road? Or did I do it off that? I don't know. Been talking so much. Let's say I didn't do it. And I drew into it with Wages of Sin. I drew into it. I'm going crazy all. So it's always nice to get 2 Emmaus Roads in one turn. I could always draw right back into it with Z Temple if I want. And I still get another artifact. So New Covenant gets Emmaus Road. I get a star card from deck. And I have Nehemiah out, so I have my protection, so I don't need Mary. Kind of have everything I need. So from a good perspective, so I don't necessarily care for Plumline in Solomon's Dream, unless I think I'm going to get 3 here, then you just try to get Second Coming Son of God, but I could always do that next. Same with like Chronicles, if I want to make my attack stronger, like I don't really have much of an attack, but Angel, but I hit you so hard in your hand and I'm protected. So I want to keep all that protection going. So my star card would actually be Noah's Ark. This goes back into deck. I shuffle, activate Book of the Law. My defense really didn't do anything. I bounce Zerubbabel. And then from here, and you make sure you know what your attack is prior to, especially with when you start adding things into the battle and making more advanced plays. So, because you have to know Nehemiah exchanges to territory. So if I bounce, I can't just push into an attack, or else I have to start changing things up. I have to bring in another bander, and sometimes you don't have them down. Like he's a bander. So say, okay, before I attack, what am I trying to accomplish? Probably going to go to Jehu first, Jehu to Joshua, Joshua to Nehemiah, Nehemiah exchanges to territory. And then I go to Zerubbabel. So I'd put Zerubbabel down a territory and I'd say, okay, Jehu sword, discard a bunch of stuff. Joshua comes out, does what Joshua does. Nehemiah, they all exchange, and Noah's Ark. It's really hard to target them because of Noah's Ark, and they exchange. So it's really hard to deal with. And Babel doesn't really mess with them because he's CBN, and then because his toughness is 12. So, and then this is a 6, which I think I specifically kept it at 6 for my deck if everything's out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and Jonah. So yeah, make sure you know if Babels are lurking, like if you see a Babel pop down, to know what that negates, because that negates him in my deck, and Melchizedek and Jeshua. So know how many brigades are in your deck, so when you see Babel. So Nehemiah would come out, all of them would exchange. Zerubbabel comes out. So he may ban, like Zerubbabel comes in, he draws 2. And then you either play or banned. I'd banned. You also get Z Temple proc and Book of the Law because you just assume all their guys in territory are dead due to Joshua and Jehu and sword. If your meek hero attacks, you may top deck a good card from reserve. So you can, and if you top deck a good card from reserve, you can just take it. Because of Jeshua, if they block from hand, you may take a good card from deck. Usually they have to block from hand as well because you just obliterated their territory. You also get Z Temple. If your Postexilic hero attacks, which they did, you may top deck a good card from reserve. Cool. You'll see very efficient decks get their reserve, go through it very quickly, and get what they need when they need. So you would have a protected hero and a guy that discards an evil card from their hand. If they block from hand, you can take anything from deck, play an Angel Lord. That's pretty much it. Rinse and repeat with this. If you want, you can get Ezra out. Usually Ezra comes out quicker. It's just kind of weird because if you draw Eliad early, it's really nice because you want to get into Jehu's sword and Eliad by turn 2. But sometimes you want to pop out Ezra and then you get into that Eliad and you maybe delay it one turn, but you can go into a constant bounce. So yeah, now from here, let's see. I don't really care for a 2 small character ban, but a special initiative with Christian Martyr and Chronicles is a good block. So I put him down at the end of my turn. There's no point keeping this in hand. I'd rather just see if I have an Old Testament artifact. I do. It's Golden Calf. And I could have gotten delivered at any time with the Emmaus Road and activated Calf or something else that I needed. So simulating's tough because I'm trying to just mostly explain the deck. So this is shuffled in. Calf comes to hand. Sometimes you want to keep these cards in your hand just to give them a bluff. They're going to obviously know that's an artifact, but if I put down this, I'll just do it just for example, but I put down both artifacts. Once again, they know I'm at 3 cards in hand. Also, another way you'll know decks are very efficient is that I have 2 cards in my reserve and only 5 cards in my deck, and I have everything out that I need. I can play Feast of Boost and banish any number. So I would see what yours is plus what's mine and see whatever there's more of. I wouldn't play this if I knew you had 2 or 1 evil cards, because I can still use this as my soul generator. But let's say you had 3 because you have to have 3 pretty much because I'm just hitting you with sword this whole time. So if I don't think I need any more soul gen and I want to get some drawing going to block, or if I'm like, well, you know what, I need to get some more drawing to block, I got to sacrifice soul gen. Then I play that card. I banish 3 evil cards from your discard because of all them, because of Jehu and sword, and I would get a draw 3 on that. Solomon's Dream. Think from here, I'd probably go into a woes or a crowd's choice, and then a crowd's choice into a commanders, or a crowd's choice into a clinging to cycle clinging and play commanders. Because from a blocking perspective, I do have a good block now. So yeah, I would just go into a woes for another negate that I can use whenever. I have this again, it does nothing. So shuffle that up. And I really like putting him down and putting a spear on him and banding to him. So if you attack, I go out with Fikel. I get to equip a weapon from reserve. And then he gets to ban to a Philistine, except the king. And I ban to Saf, who prevents the next. I'm protected over here from the first. I discard this to discard your hero in battle, and I prevent the next. Plus, I have protection. If that doesn't win the battle, that's fine. Like you can play dominance and stuff, but that's a very, very good block. And then I have endless treasures to start pulling out whatever they are, spears and weapons from discard. So, and that's another thing if you get rid of my Jehu sword, because that's such an important piece. I figured you might as well play a defense that uses weapons well. I don't know. It just makes sense. If only it drew 2, right? I will say missing Daenerys was big. I kind of do like having Daenerys and Pretension. So if you play like maybe one Meek Soul, just because I think the advantage of Meek Souls, it does not equal the advantage of the regular Lost Souls, and that's why Sadducees and Pharisees are so fast. But if you can have Daenerys with Pharisees, you get Pretension in Daenerys. That's, I find sometimes, like I said, where I have lacking a little bit on the draw. But that's also why I've gone to Amazing Faith to Crowd's Choice to Mayhem as needed. But this build has Christian Martyr, so we'll see. So I would draw 3. Reveal hand. If there is none, you can take 1 from deck. I have no other stars, so now you can start getting Ezra out, and you do the full band with Ezra. You can put Jonah out, but you just put a lot of pressure on him anyway. You play Plumline on Zerubbabel. You just start pulling out the DOMs in the game. So you see what I did? I completely skipped over all of upkeep just because I got excited. I went straight to a star and then played Plumline. So rookie mistake. So missed a draw here, missed all of upkeep. Not that it is huge right now, but that's not how you play the game correctly. So I still have art phase. I don't know why I call it that. I've only been playing for 20 years. Once again, nothing for this. You can just constantly cycle Emmaus Road. Come out to Emmaus Road. I don't think you need another Mary. Deliver doesn't matter. You just put down Jonah. Clearly, I'm not the most organized person. And then now that you have a bounce over here, you got to decide, how do you want to bounce? If they had a bunch of evil humans out, then you would probably bounce Jehu to get a double hit on Jehu once you use them through Ezra, and maybe not bounce him through book. Like you would bounce Zerubbabel through book, and then Ezra would bounce Jehu. We've been able to put constant pressure on him from the very get-go. So from here, you kind of see what you want to do. If you think Ezra can bounce Zerubbabel and you don't need the Jehu, you just turn this over. You don't need another spear right now. Just kind of give him a little bit of a lockdown between Jonah, Melchizedek, Akeem, Golden Calf, Babel. It's a lot to deal with. So then you do the exact same band again. And this time Nehemiah goes to Ezra. You may bounce a human into territory. I do like having a brown. I thought about bringing in Canaanite wives because they're brown black. Because you get to take an artifact. That is really, really good right now. If you could take their calf or cross as needed, it's really good, especially if they have both active. Joshua underdecks 1, you take the other. That's a very good play. But Ezra will bounce a human in territory. And remember, Nehemiah swaps to Ezra from territory, so it didn't matter that he was down or not. You have to put Zerubbabel down for the bounce. Zerubbabel comes down, draws 2, and you just want to band to Eliud. You hit all this. Zerubbabel's protected, and you still have Woes, Chronicles, and then you can play Son of God. So that's the deck. The defense came out kind of weird, but you see what it's supposed to do. You have negates to get you there. Wages of Sin going to Christian and Deceit is really good. This on the band is really good when on Commanders is CBI, so that's really good. Just a lot of strong bands, Wages and Sin, and Clinging to Power to get out your negates and to get out your characters. That band is also really good. Getting out DOMs early through multiple ways. It's just a very efficient deck. That Commander's block is really fun. So especially when you start throwing in Ficles and equipping things, or Armor Bearer. The best one is Armor Bearer Goliath, just because he equips So you equip a weapon on commanders or have Goliath down. You equip Goliath's armor on Goliath. So a lot of people just throw out Goliath out there, but this defense gives you wages and clinging. Doesn't give you any speed, but it does give you some really good blocks. So I really like it. Some of the consistency comes from the Lost Souls. Those didn't come out as well. And I still was able to kind of get whatever I needed whenever I needed. So yeah, I love this offense. Hit your hand hard. I am not playing Storehouse in this. Or I'm sorry, I'm not playing Shipwreck in this. I use Woes as needed to get rid of Storehouse, but my main thing is you may negate a good card. If you do not, you may discard this card to discard a good card in the territory. So I personally think that if you have other ways to get rid of good fortresses and you get to play Shipwreck, not accounting for all the Widow's Son stuff, I get it. But if you get to keep a dominant and not play Shipwreck and have a card that is easy to get and hard to target, just because I get to discard this card to discard a good card in territory, that's like, and it's in my reserve, and I can just keep recurring it with Endless Treasures and getting it back with Wages of Sin as well from reserve or deck, whatever. So I think that's really good to have, let's say, a Christian Martyr or a Mayhem or just another dominant in general. Like a Grapes of Wrath is really good right now. To have another dominant, I just like having Christian Martyr because of this defensive build plus Wages of Sin. But having another dominant and having a card that takes the slot of a dominant almost just as well, if not better, because I can recur Foreign Spears and I can get rid of Storehouse, no problem. I also like recurring weapons to hit all these territory class heroes. Keep getting back Foreign Spears, get rid of their Noah's Ark, and be good to go. Now, if they have Storehouse and I haven't gotten Foreign Spears yet, might not want to get rid of Storehouse. Just because my defense works that much better. So it's a win-win there. If they get rid of my spears or I can't get to my spears or early Storehouse, whatever, then your hand's protected and I withdrew all your heroes and you can't bring in anyone from your hand. So a lot of stuff to do. I said, I really like this build. This deck is a blast on offense and defense. I've gone through numerous iterations and versions of this deck. This is the latest. Maybe Jonah doesn't have to go in. I think Josh Portras would say that should be Moses. And then you bring in Virgin Birth and then take out, I mean, he would say take out probably Amazing Faith, maybe a Evil Enhancement, but to each their own. I like having another territory class person that just puts more pressure on you. But then again, it's not at 50. And Moses and Virgin Birth makes it to where you can immediately have another way to go to Jehu. So when you bring up Virgin Birth, it goes straight to a Jehu second turn. Just another way. I was finding that I had so many ways to get to Jehu that it was okay. And the flexibility of Amazing Faith, both in main deck and so many ways to play it. I just really like it. And sometimes I felt very susceptible first turn that I'm just pushing a Zerubbabel out there and nothing else. So I like having a way to draw or get to a 7-0 negate all. I think that's very good first turn, especially when I can just go to an Angel Lord. So that's secret deck number 2 from Tyler. So we'll see what else he gives away willingly and happily. So we'll see what else I put out there. But this one I've been playing for a long time, and I love Philistines, and I was like, why? I wanted to play them last year. I just didn't think they had enough. And sure enough, I was like, why do I not think they have enough? They keep getting more. Um, and I swear I didn't do insider trading collusion, and I didn't specifically pick Philistines and Israel's deliverance just for my own benefit. Um, just so happened to work out that way. So I was looking at all the Philistines. It's like, this is just really good. Commanders is CBI to Goliath. That's really good alone. Like just leaving in one and then having all these weapons to pop off. Also, if you can put a weapon down and kind of bait them into a Chronicles, like, yeah, they're still going to do it in battle, but you play it early, still really good. So I had, does it go away? I had go away in here. CBP bounce if used by Philistines. But it's, like I said, it's at 52. I like having 2 discards and a protection, but maybe go away can come in here, but it's just easier to get these. And if I'm just popping spears on people, it's really nice. I had Rafa Gath for protection, and I had Goliath Curse for protection. Double protection on Philistines was amazing. It's just, like I said, it's at 52. What do you take out for that? Maybe you put in Goliath Curse because Endless Treasures can get it back. So maybe Spear comes out. I like having one of each because one's dual brigade just in case it gets tossed through Goshen or Michael or something. So I kind of, maybe that's too analytical, and one comes out for a more versatile card. That's CBP, but I think the defense can block enough. So that's all. I've been rambling on long enough. That's a breakdown of this deck. Also, I was talking to Demon Hunter about this offense in general, and this is a pretty complex offense. Yes, it's a rinse and repeat, but you have to get there very quickly. I was even talking to John early about this, and he was like, "Yeah, it's just not necessarily my style." But I was looking at his build, like, yeah, it didn't have all the same enhancements. So it's, I think I agreed with him, is you don't feel confident or comfortable sometimes. That's where the Teaching in Parables and the Amazing Faith in main deck with New Covenant, Delivered, Emmaus Road, all that, to just go right to it first turn, really just sets you up strong attacks moving forward and immediately puts pressure on them. As you saw with Elliot and Teaching in Parables first turn, that's very, very good. Constant soul gen, constant recursion all over the place, all sorts of territory class stuff. I'm just going to keep talking about it. I love this deck so much. But all right, I hope y'all enjoyed, and that's all I got. So I'll come up with some sort of name for my channel at some point. So alrighty, y'all.